Do you want to have your fur babies join you when you move to Australia? Well, then keep watching. Hi there, guys, and welcome back to Chamonix TV. Today I am chatting to Shirley-Ann Kukard, who is a senior animal travel consultant with Animal Travel Services, and she's going to share with us what are the three most common mistakes that people make when they are planning or hoping to take their animals with them to Australia. I have helped thousands of people before get in life what they want, and I would really love to be able to help you too today. But before we dive in, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Go on, go down, hit the subscribe button, and then you will always get notifications when we post more videos like this one for you. All right, let's dive in. Here are the three most common mistakes that would-be migrants make when starting to plan their move to make it over to Australia. Good morning, Shirley-Ann. Thank you so much for joining us today in this, I want to say, wonderful sunny day. I'm not too sure how sunny it is yet in Cape Town. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Always excited to hear about pets because pets are very close to my heart.
Oh, that's
and
good.
yes, it's good. And you work with pets all the time, don't you?
Yes, every single day. Best job ever.
I can imagine that. Now, how long, Shirley-Ann, have you been with Animal Travel Services?
I've been with Animal Travel Services for the last 6 years. Um, I was I started here in 2010. I had a 2-year break and then I came back. So I've been in the industry for 12 years now.
Wow, that's a very long time for, this
Yes.
kind of industry because people do tend to move on. So, wow, I feel honored to have such a
Yeah.
specialized person in my presence today. And you're going to tell us all about what are the three biggest or the most common mistakes that people make when wanting to move with their pets over to Australia. So, can you please tell us what is the first biggest mistake that people make?
Sure. So a lot of the time, the biggest mistake I've noticed when assisting clients is that they often leave the process too late. So they will start their process in time or timeously and they'll start their own paperwork, but they tend to forget about their pets and that they want to start the process when they already know that they're leaving, which is a little bit late because the process does take about 6 or 7 months. So I always recommend that when you start with your own paperwork, start with their paperwork as well. They don't have to be in quarantine in South Africa, so they can stay with you all the time. It's just that you're starting their paperwork so that by the time you're ready to go, they'll also be ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Is this the same for moving to other countries? Are they also so strict as Australia?
No, there is processes in place for other countries. New Zealand is very similar to Australia. There's also a 6-month process that needs to be followed. But places like the EU and the UK have a 4-month process, which is pretty similar but not exactly the same. Um, and countries like Singapore, for instance, they also have a 6-month process. But Australia is much more, I would say, intricate and more detailed than the other countries are, definitely.
Mm. Well, just as well, because we don't want any diseases and harmful things to come to this beautiful island, Australia.
No, no, definitely not. And that's what people don't understand is that Australia is completely disease free when it comes to pets. So that is why there's the 6 or 7 month procedure that needs to take place, is so that they can avoid having those diseases in their country.
Yes, yeah. But it is a long process, as you say. And yeah, people tend to think, oh, I'm just going to buy an airplane ticket for my pet and then off we go. It's like, but I remember from when I moved to Australia back in the day, now we're talking 17 years ago, so it's been a while, that at that time, my pet had to be in quarantine for 10 months. Like,
Correct.
and so needless to say, I just decided I was not prepared to put my animal, which was at that point my baby, in a boarding kennel for such a long time. So luckily I had family that they could stay with, and they took care of my dog very, very well. I think my dog expanded substantially.
Shame. Well, that's good. That's at least a happy ending.
Yes.
The quarantine, I think, fell away in about 2012 or 2013. So they stopped with the quarantine, but they made the process, it's still a 6-month process, just your pet doesn't have to be in quarantine so long. Now the quarantine is only 10 days in Melbourne.
Okay, much easier. Thank
Correct.
you. And it makes it so much more doable, I guess, for people to know that their animals are not going to be sitting alone in a cage for so many months. And then it just comes down to a financial barrier, really, and if you are able to pay for your animals.
Correct. Yes, it can be very expensive, and a lot of the time the people don't want to, or the clients rather, don't want to be away from their animals. So to say to them, your pet has to be in a boarding facility in South Africa before departure and in quarantine, that doesn't go over well. So we like to have the pets stay with their owners until the very last, or until the owners are ready for them to leave. You'll never be ready for them to leave because there's always that stress factor, but ready to have them go on their journey as well. So it's never an easy process. And like you said, it is also costs. That's why if you start the process earlier, it gives you time to actually save your money and know what costs you're in for when you do start the process, or when you do start moving forward with the process.
Yeah. So start saving up now, people. Very important.
Absolutely.
Now, Shirley-Ann, tell me about the second biggest mistake that people make. What is it with our travel services to Australia that we want people to avoid doing?
I've had a lot of questions. I attended an expo for immigration of for people, and we were, I think probably 9 out of 10 of the clients said to me, my dog is old. My dog's too old to travel. I probably won't take it. And that's also a big mistake that people make, is that there is no age limit for pets traveling to Australia. As long as your pets are fit and healthy to travel, there's no reason why they cannot go. There are a series of tests and treatments and vaccinations that they have to undergo. So it's important to understand that. So if you do have an elderly pet, we generally recommend that you have your vet do a full checkup to make sure that there are no underlying issues. But most certainly there's no age limit. So definitely don't put it on a back hold because your pet is old. I mean, I've sent a 21-year-old French poodle to Australia before, and I mean, the dog lived a good couple of years after that, after arriving in Australia and going through quarantine. So there's no reason why you can't take an elderly pet with you.
Wow, 21 years old. That's amazing.
Yes.
I just hope my animals live till 10. I've been unlucky because most of my animals, and tend to have small dogs. Apparently they should be living longer, but you know what? You never know. But as you say, you just have them checked by the vet. And if the vet reckons that they're fit and healthy, no reason why they can't go.
Exactly.
And tell me a little bit about the third most biggest mistake that people make when coming to Australia, wanting to come to Australia with their pets. Do people find the information in the right spots, Shirley-Ann?
Not necessarily, not even just going to Australia, but going anywhere, immigrating anywhere with your pets. People listen to social media. Social media can be our best friend, but it can also be our worst enemy at the same time. We've had so many people contact us and say to us, oh, I saw there was a dog left on the tarmac. Things like that don't happen in South Africa, and they're nor in Australia, actually. They're extremely diligent with the animals, and they take extremely good care of the animals. We have the SPCA permanently at the airports in South Africa, checking on the welfare of the pets when they are being transported and when they are in the care of the airlines. The airlines will get fined if they don't look after those pets while they're in their care, and if they're not transported in appropriate sized travel containers. And then one client, a disgruntled client, will maybe put something on Facebook to say that their pet was left on the tarmac, and it's not even in South Africa. It's not even in a country where there's an agent working with the client to send their pets over, and they'll automatically assume that that's what happened. Always check the facts when you read about something like that, because at the end of the day, us as travel agents are put in, or rather help clients in situations like these in immigrating their pets so that those things don't happen. We have very good relationships with airlines. We've got very good relationships with the transit stations at the various airports. And we also have good relationships with the final destination agents or quarantine facilities. So we ensure that these things don't happen. So like I said, don't listen to social media. If you do see something on social media, rather ask your agent if that is what happened or if they've heard about it. Because a lot of the times it's also a client that try to do it themselves, which makes it a little bit more difficult for the airlines and the handling agents to actually prepare themselves properly for the handling of the pets.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, people can scare each other. Scaremongering can be so unnecessary, to be honest. It's just, moving to another country is already stressful for the people themselves. If you're now starting to stress about your animals,
it makes it worse. It makes it worse.
I wanted to say, don't Dr. Google yourself, because that's what people tend to do when they want to find what's wrong with your body. Don't find what's wrong with your animal's travel services to a country that will just going to make you stressed. Now, we're so blessed that we have you here today, Shirley-Ann, because you can give us the information that are spot on, right from, I want to say, the horse's mouth, or shall it be the dog's mouth? Which animals do you transport the most?
Well, it's mostly dogs and cats. To Australia, unfortunately, we can only send dogs and cats, so it will only be dogs and cats. But we have an export team that does transportation all over the world, and we've had sugar gliders imported into South Africa. We've had snakes that we've sent for people to the UK. We have people that send their rabbits. We have people that send their hamsters. So it's amazing the care and the love that people have for the little creatures, not only just dogs and cats. And of course, birds are popular as well. Unfortunately, Australia and New Zealand don't accept birds, but the UK, the EU, a lot of the times, clients are taking their birds with them.
What kind of birds? Like doves or pigeons that fly for sport, or are we talking about parrots?
Mostly parrots, because they are family pets, but we have had some racing pigeons that were imported. We've had some racing pigeons that we've exported. So all kinds of birds, family pets or racing, it doesn't matter. We help them.
Now tell me, just for interest sake, the difference in cost between a dog and a cat, is it major or is it very similar?
I was just looking at your little doggy coming down the stairs. They're so adorable.
Thank you.
There is a difference, because it all depends on the size of the pet. Oh, hello, cutie pie.
Hey, hi, my name is Lola.
Hello, Lola. So it all depends. The costing all depends on the size of the animal. So the airlines charge us according to the volumetric weight of the travel containers. So the bigger the travel container, the more expensive it becomes. The quarantine fees will be the same no matter what size the pet is, as well as the import permit. No matter what size the pet is, the import permit fees are the same. Your veterinary fees will also depend on the size of the animal as well. So the bigger the animal, the more expensive your treatments will be, because your treatments are based per kilogram and not just for one pet.
Okay, that makes sense. And if you have two pets, like two dogs or two cats, are you able to put them into one container together so that they keep each other company if they like each other?
We do have what we call a combi travel container, which is basically two travel containers that have been made into one with a wire division between the two of them. We try not to put two pets in the same travel container for long journeys, because you don't know, especially cats, you don't know how they're going to react to each other when they're in a confined space. So you don't want them, they might be fine at home, but at home they're not put into a confined space. So you don't know how they're going to react to each other, if they're going to fight with each other, if they're in a confined space. So we would rather put them into our combi containers so that they can see and smell each other and they're in close contact with each other, but they're not in the same personal space of each other. We can do the same for dogs that are up to about 9 kilos, but bigger than 9 kilos, obviously we'll have to have them travel in their own travel containers for safety reasons and for transportation reasons as well.
So that they don't fall onto each other, I'm assuming, and step onto each other.
Correct.
Yeah, fair enough.
We actually had, a little while ago, we had 2 puppies that were imported. They were Pyrenees mountain dogs. And the one puppy, they were transported in one travel container, and they were about 4 months old when they got here, or just under 3 months old. And one puppy stood on the other puppy and broke its leg during travel. So, I mean, you don't really want to put them in harm's way. We'd rather separate them, even if it is just with a wire division between the 2 of them. We'd rather do that than have potential damage during transportation.
Wow, that is so scary. And this is the other thing, you don't know when when they're in the plane, if they step on the other one, it's not like you're going to find out immediately. You only know this at the end of the flight, and then they might have been in that pain for a long period of time.
Exactly. And you don't know what the extent of damage is either. So you would have to, it could get worse during the transportation, and when they arrive at their final destination, your pet will likely need emergency medical attention.
Can you give us a ballpark figure what it costs per animal, one dog, for example, to come to Australia?
If we're looking at a dog about Lola's size, I would say that you're looking at about, for transportation at the moment, about 48,000 to 50,000 Rand. That is for the transport container, as well as any handling fees and state vet clearance in South Africa. Then you're looking at your import permit, which is a separate $480. And your quarantine fees are roughly, I would say, it works out to $29 for an initial booking fee, $1,581 for the quarantine stay, and then about $250 for a release fee.
Okay, so give or take, it's about $6,000 Australian dollars as a round figure.
Correct, yeah. So you're probably looking between about 100 and 120,000 Rand for one dog, basically. It does work out cheaper if you've got more animals, because some of the charges are per family and not per pet. Like, for instance, the airlines charge us what is the ticket fee, which is charged per animal. We put a family of up to 5 animals on one ticket, so you'll only be charged for one ticket.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's not per container.
We do get charged per volumetric weight of the containers, but that is your air freight, basically. But the airlines still charge us documentation fee, which is your waybill fee. They'll charge you fuel and security, which will also be per kilogram. And then they charge scanning fees, which is also per family and not per pet. So there's a lot of variations that are per family and not per pet.
Okay, I see. And what's the biggest number of pets that one family has sent overseas that you have seen?
I sent a family of 9 over to New Zealand about 2 years ago. So I did have to split them. They traveled 5 first and then 4 afterwards. But yes, they were a family of 9.
Dogs, cats, combination?
4 dogs and 5 cats.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It was a lot of money, but the client loved their animals so much they weren't willing to leave them behind.
Oh, I tell you, I remember, especially pre-having babies, like human babies, my dogs were my everything. Like, I treated them like my babies. I'd carry them in my bag to school, or to shopping center, put them in the front of my bike basket, and yeah, I would not have been able to go without them. So absolutely, if that's something that's going to make you settle into your new place easier, like your new country, and you can afford it, I would definitely suggest that people bring their animals along and that they use animal travel services, because you guys have got such an amazing reputation. We are just so grateful to hear that you look after the animals very well. Animals, as I said, are dear to my heart, so it's important that I know they are treated well in this very stressful process.
Absolutely. We all animal lovers at Animal Travel Services. I myself have 8 animals. I've got 4 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 birds. So I'm not going to Australia anytime soon, but to immigrate. But we all animal lovers, and the best part of the day is having the animals at our offices. So we give them all the love and attention we possibly can before they travel as well.
Oh, and I can hear somebody in the background there is really looking for some attention.
Yes, I'm going to go down there as soon as I'm done with this call. I'm going to go down and give him some love.
Oh, thank you so much, Shirley-Ann, for sharing it with us, all the information, and just helping people be more informed in a proper way of what to do and not to do when moving to Australia with their animals. We appreciate you.
It's a pleasure, no problem. And thank you so much for the invite.
It's my pleasure. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you're considering bringing your pet along to Australia, write down in the comment section below what kind of breed you have, or if you have more than one, write that down too, and the ages of your pets. I'd love to know what you're considering bringing along with you and how they are going to make your family unit just so much better once you arrive in your new country. Make sure if you have enjoyed this video that you hit the like button, please, and share it far and wide with as many as possible people so that they too are properly informed and prepared when they want to make their move to Australia with their furry babies. Join me on Facebook if you want to follow it on a more daily basis. There is a lot of information that we share in our group. I want to move to Australia. I want to migrate to Australia. And you can subscribe to our weekly email tips as well. Head on to our website, shaminytv.com.au, and we will bring those to your email inbox on a weekly basis. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you will take your time and make sure that you design the one life that you have to make the absolute best of it. I'll see you in the next video. Adios, amigos.